Hi everyone, it's Aga from EurekaCrystalBeads.com and I'm here with another fun beading tutorial for you. But before I get started, just a quick reminder to check out the rest of our channel, and if you like what you see, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss any of our content. In this video, I'll show you how to make this absolutely adorable tiny little star or flower shaped earring or pendant if you want it to be. It's quite quick to make and quite easy as well, so even if you're a beginner, you will be able to make yourself a pair of these. Now, this video is a part of our September 2025 Fall Festival, which is all about fall themes and fall colors. And so it happens that our September 2025 collection, Plot Twist, is in the perfect palette to match the theme of this fall festival. This is the inspiration photo for our collection. Check out the unboxing. It should be linked down below and somewhere up here. So for our fall festival, I decided to make a project with the beads from this collection because they were simply perfect as a palette for this sort of theme. So this means that all of the beads that I'm using here today can be found in our September 2025 Plot Twist collection. So you will be able to make these with this collection. But if not, here is the supplies that you're gonna need to make this project. First of all, I have an ear wire. You can use any ear wire or earring post that you want. What's important is that it has a side-facing loop so that we can very easily attach it to our beadwork. Then per earring, you're gonna need 12 pinch beads, 6 4mm pearls, and here I have these gorgeous iridescent green Krakowski crystal pearls. 4mm bicones work for this as well. Here is a sample that I made. This was actually the first one that I made, and I used the bicones that were in the collection. The color of the bicones is beautiful, really, but as you can see, among the bronze and brown beads, they kind of get lost a little bit and blend in. So I decided to swap them for 4mm pearls, but you can absolutely do that with 4mm bicones as well. Then per one earring, you're gonna need 6 3x2mm Chinese rondelle beads. Here I also have 3mm fire polish beads, and this is a beautiful copper lined olivine color. I really love it for the center of this little bead or this little earring. Finally, you're gonna need some 11-ohs, and here I have Miyukis, which I think will be better than Tohos due to their more flattened shape, more oval looking shape from the side. And Tohos are more square-ish, so they will work, but they might look a little bit different. Finally, for tools, I'm going to be using a size 12 needle. There's a lot of thread passes, so a thinner needle is better. And I'll use it with my 6-pound Fireline in the color Smoke. And a darker color is preferred for this particular colorway because some of the thread is slightly visible in this middle row. So I would adjust the color of my thread according to the color of the pinch beads that you're using. I also have some scissors to cut off the excess thread, and that's all the supplies that you need. So let's start beading. I'm starting with a little bit over half a wingspan of thread, that is a little bit under 3 feet. And the first thing I'll do is I'll string the outer row of beads, which is 6 pearls and 6 3x2 rondelle beads interchangeably, so that's 12 beads in total. Here's the sequence that I put on my thread. I'm going to slide it down, and I'm going to pass through all of those beads again in the same direction to create a circle. At this point, you can tie the ends of your thread, but I like to wait with it for a little bit, at least for this design, because you're going to pass through all of those beads a lot more times, and a knot would just make it a little bit harder. So you want to pass through some more of the beads in your circle so that your thread is coming out of one of the pearls. And now we're going to be making the pinch bead dome. I think pinch beads were like made to create domes out of them. The best pinch bead domes are made out of 5 or 6 beads like this one in here, and they're super easy to create. I'm going to start with 2 pinch beads So I just pick up 2 and I'm going to go right around and again through my pearl, through the rondelle bead, and through the next pearl in line. I want to direct both of those beads towards the center like this. And now when my thread is coming out of this next pearl here, I pick up a single pinch bead and I'm going to go back through the last pinch bead that I added. So the previous one, I'm kind of going back towards the pearls and I'm going to pass through that pearl that my thread was just coming out of towards where my sewing direction is going. And again, I'm passing through this pearl, a rondelle, and the next pearl. And you want to make sure to pull tight so that those beads kind of start creating the dome on their own. Again, a single pinch bead. And again, I'm going back to the previous pinch bead. And from the top towards the pearls, I pass through it. Make sure that this new bead kind of goes right next to it. And I pass through the pearl that my thread was just coming out of, plus the rondelle, and then the next pearl. You can go through just one bead at a time, of course. I'm just quite impatient. That's what it looks like all together. Another pinch bead. This is going to be my 5th. Back through the previous one. Making sure they're all nice and snug before I pass through this pearl, the rondelle, and the next pearl. And now it's going to be my 6th pinch bead. And again, I'm going back down through the previous one, making sure they're all snug together. Through the last pearl, rondelle, next pearl. And now I have all of my pinch beads together already, but if you look at this last pearl here that my thread is coming out of, it doesn't have thread connected to either this pinch bead or this one. So we do want to change that. And my thread is coming out in this way, in this direction. So I'm just going up through the first pinch bead in this sequence. So the one that I added first. I'm just closing that circle basically. Just make sure that your thread is going the right way and not under the rondelle. And now these 2 pinch beads are also not connected. So I'm going down the previous pinch bead, so the last one that I added. And I'm going to go forward through this pearl. And voila, you have a full dome prepared. And at this point, I actually thought it would be a cool idea to put a chaton inside of there and bezel it so that it would have 2 sides. One would be with the pinch beads, the other one would be with the chaton. But unfortunately, the chaton pushes on the pinch beads and kind of makes them all wonky, and the dome is not as pretty. So unfortunately, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to create another dome on the other side. But first, let's put a 3mm fire polish up here. So I go up the nearest pinch bead again. And quite simply, what I do is I pick up the 3mm fire polish and I go to the pinch bead opposite to the one that my thread is coming out of. And I just pass through it. And the fire polish will just pop right in. And now I'm ready to make the other half of the dome, or the other dome actually, the other half of the ball. Okay, I'm going to flip it. And I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. So my thread is coming out of a pearl. And I start with 2 pinch beads. I go right around this pearl and through it again. And through the next rondelle. Now it's not going to be that easy to pass through all 3 beads again. But I'm going to go through the pearl, through the rondelle, and through this next pearl to continue with my row. I'm going in the opposite direction, that's why it's a little bit harder for me to hold the work in the way that you can see it well. But just to repeat what I was doing before, I pick up a single pinch bead, I pass down the previous pinch bead, make sure they are all nice and snug. I pass through the last pearl that my thread was coming out of, pass through the rondelle and the next pearl, and just continue adding your pinch beads and connecting them to the pearls all the way around. Alright, I've connected my last pinch beads together, and now I'm going up to add my second 3mm fire polish, and I do that in the exact same way. I find the pinch bead on the opposite side of the pinch bead that my thread is coming out of, and the bead just pops right in. Bonus points if you attach both of them like facing the same direction, so attached to like pinch beads in the same row, let's say. Alright, I'm gonna pass through the nearest pearl and through the nearest rondelle bead, because that's where you want to be coming out to start adding the seed beads. And you're gonna start by adding 4. So I pick up 4 11-ohs and I simply pass through the next rondelle in this middle row, just like that. Another set of 4, and I look for the next rondelle, pass through it, and there we go. And you just continue all around until you've made a full circle. Here's my last 4 beads. Now you could leave it at that and just have a flower rather than a little bit more of a star. But if you want to make the petals a little bit more pointy, you just go up 2 of the 4 11-ohs in the sequence that you added in the previous row. You pick up a single extra 11-oh and you go down the remaining 2. And this is going to pop right in, voila. You pass through the rondelle again. Then 2 out of the 4 11-ohs. You add a single 11-oh in the middle, pass down through and through the rondelle, and so on and so forth. And this is my last 11-oh that I'm adding. So the design is finished. Now I'm going to just attach the ear wire and my earring is going to be ready. At this point, you can also attach a jump ring or a bail if you want to make this into a pendant. So to create this simplest connection, I'm just going to pick up 5 11-ohs and of course my ear wire. It doesn't matter which way because this is double-sided. So I'm just picking up my ear wire. I'm going to make sure that the beads pass through it so that it can go in the middle here. And I go around and through the top bead that I went to with my thread. By the way, I don't think I mentioned that, but yeah, you need to go to the bead that's in the middle of the sequence, one of those that you just added 1 row before, and you just go through the sequence of 5 new beads and the one in the beadwork 2 more times just to secure the connection. Now the only thing that's left for me to do is to pass through some more of the beads, tie a knot, weave in both of my tails because I still have that original tail left there. So I just tie 2 knots, weave in the tails. And the earrings are ready. I told you they were very simple to make and quite quick, really. All of the supplies that I used here today are from our September 2025 Plot Twist collection. And they are all available from EurekaCrystalBeads.com. I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial. Thank you so much for watching and see you in the next one. Bye!